Well, hi, Brian. It's lovely to see you.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well.
You
I'm
too.
excited today to talk about Reverie. I know you and I have been talking offline
hmm
about the value that offers people. I think as kids, we were taught not to daydream, not to watch butterflies out the window when we're supposed to be in math class. So I think Reverie may have gotten a bad name during our growing up, that it's somehow not constructive time. But we know better. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about Reverie.
Yeah, and feel free to jump in and
Mhm.
say what you want to say about it. I mean, kids should definitely be encouraged to do this, but I know that it could get in the way of normal structured class time, but they should do it, at recess or on their own sometimes.
Mhm.
So, Reverie, I mean, basically, I want to invite people and encourage people to create a way of kind of unlimited thinking, unrestricted thinking in a way that can be very pleasant and very expansive. It can be more like a dream, it can be more like fantasy, it can be more like imagination, or it can be reasoning. You can have like a philosophical reverie, which I used to do a lot. Um, you can dream of being in different eras, in different times. Like, what would I have been like as a Roman soldier in ancient Rome?
Mhm.
Or if I was a Roman member of the royal court?
Mhm.
Or what would I have been like if I was a philosopher in ancient Greece, or someone who just came and listened to the philosophers debate? Because there were lots of people who gathered around to just listen. So, what would that have been like? What would my life have been like? What would my personality have been like? What would my day to day experience have been like? There's so many things like this you can think about. And honestly, it's really pleasant. It's a really enjoyable thing to do. And it expands your mind, your awareness, your understanding of yourself so much. What would it be like if you were born as an alien on an alien planet? Just imagine new civilizations and cultures that you can create in your mind. Just invent an alien culture that you think would be awesome. And is there anything you can draw from that and try to apply it to the life you're in today? At the end of your every session, you can think about that. There's just so many ways you can take this. Honestly, it's a really cool thing to do, and it'll give you a lot of really interesting stuff to say in conversation with other people talking about it. But it's just a really pleasant, really cool sir in one of the colleges I went to who said he was like, if you want to be a hedonist, just be a philosopher because there's so much enjoyment in thinking about these topics endlessly, and you can do it for the rest of your life. And there is. For me, that's been very true. Now, I know most people don't do this, which is why I'm inviting people to kind of teach themselves how to do this. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, so you and I, again, as we were planning this and talking offline,
Yeah.
therapists use something called cognitive reverie. And there's some research that says people who've been depressed for a while or people that are under a lot of stress, the cognitive load of that emotional depression or the stressful thinking reduces the ability for someone to enter the state of reverie. But if you practice it, it gives you that unlimited thinking that you're talking about. So often when we work with clients, we identify limiting beliefs. Oh, I could never do that. Oh, wouldn't even know how to ask for that. Well, I don't know if anybody's ever done anything like that. And those limitations with the busy life and a lot of stress and maybe some depression or coming off of some period of difficulty, our mind possibility thinking is shrunk. But cognitive reverie, well, I'm just going to set aside all the reasons I can't, and I'm just going to imagine what would happen if I did. It really does open up your mind to possibilities. And then You might wake up with a great idea. Oh, I should call and ask that person kind of how they did it. Or, I never thought about, we were talking about the telepathy tapes, and this documentary filmmaker couldn't get anybody to buy her film. So she gave up. She said, that's it. She just said a prayer and gave it back to God and said, I've done all the research. I have it all on film, but nobody will buy the film. And then when she woke up the next day, she had this thought, I could do a podcast. So if sometimes we step outside of the constraints of the rules of the natural world and how things have always been done and what you think is possible, set that aside and enter a state of reverie, you may come up with some ideas that you couldn't think of under normal constraints.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could use it as a brainstorming session. But yeah, just anything like, I mean, it could just be a very pleasant thing to do where you can sit there and do this for 5, 10, 20, 30, 45 minutes. I mean, an hour. I mean, it's just a pretty cool thing to do. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be like a trained philosopher. It can just be a cool exploration, like where you just find different connections and you keep following different threads, as you go. Just ask yourself, like, okay, like a question, like, what is knowledge? How do you know when you know something? What's the difference between actually knowing something and just thinking something or just believing something? And just start putting more thoughts, more connections to that, and just start exploring it. And you will be weaving your way through your own philosophical meanderings. And actually, that's really cool. It doesn't have to be technical, it doesn't have to be trained. You're just making new connections and kind of learning things in your own way.
I also think, as you describe it, it might give you new areas of research. Well, I never thought about a podcast. What would it take to get that off the ground? And that might, you pull that first thread and you may have your path forward. So, how would one go about practicing reverie? Do you have any tips or suggestions? I think you're a
Mhm.
natural, but it might not be natural for everyone.
Yeah, just sit there and just start thinking of cool topics. I mean, what's an era of time that you like? Did you like the 70s, 80s, 90s? What do you think is cool? Like, what's a country that you think is cool? Just start thinking about like, what would it be like if you moved there today?
Hmm.
What's the day-to-day life of the people there today? And just imagine like, what would it have been like if you grew up practicing their religion or you were raised by traditional parents of that culture? What would that have been like? Who would you have become? Like,
Hmm.
where would you have fit in? Where would you have wanted to rebel against sort of the way people live there? Like, just exploring these things. I mean, you could start thinking about what is going on in all the secret government programs of the world. Just imagine, like, what do you think they're doing?
Mhm.
What do you think they're working on? Like, let yourself reverie, let yourself imagine, think about it, reason about it a little bit. There's just so much you can explore. Like, if you have brothers or sisters, what do you think their life was like? Like, step into their shoes. What do you think their experience of life was? Under the same roof that you grew up in, but they had a different experience of.
Yes.
Just stepping into different people's shoes, different cultures, different times, different eras. Just like this is a way to just expand your awareness, your understanding of life. It's just a really cool thing you can do. So
I know in the way that you try on clothes and you think, I don't know, maybe it's time for this kind of clothing, or I really don't have any athletic wear and I want to start working out. And you go and try something on and it feels different and you look different. But in Reverie, you can try on what would it be like, if instead of going out to lunch, I took a walk during lunch And then for the last 15 minutes, I ate a salad I brought from home, or I got a smoothie at the
Mhm.
smoothie shop. What would it be like if I changed up this habit? What would I do instead? And if you
Mhm.
can imagine it and kind of try it on for size, then coming out of Reverie, you can think, what would my first step be? Well, it might be putting sneakers in my car so I can change my shoes and walk around the workplace complex. One thing can lead to another, but maybe in your imagination, trying it on first is a way to get going.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's great. And just exploring, like you're saying, what would it be like if I was really extroverted? Just thinking about that. What would it be like if I was really confident or really just stepping into different personality traits? Just
Mhm,
trying that on, imagining that,
mhm.
just, I mean, all these different things. And you can go into a whole reverie about it. You can go into imagining that for 30, 40 minutes and being like, wow, I think I would be like that if I was going that way. I think I would end up being
Yeah.
kind of like this. I think I would kind of have this vibe or say these
Mhm.
types of things, just imagining that.
They had a funny movie. I think it was Jim Carrey, but I'm not sure. I think it was him. And the premise of the movie was he took the challenge to say yes to everything for a few days or a month. And so he said yes to these things he would automatically say no to. Let's go find some Ethiopian food. Yes. Let's rent bikes and ride through downtown. Yes. And so it's kind of a way to think about it as a way to have some expansion. It's not that you're forever changing
Mm.
yourself necessarily, but sort of expand the parameters you operate in. In Reverie, you try it on in your imagination, but the next step might be trying on some of it in real life. Rent the bicycle.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the idea. And it's kind of just a way to expand yourself. And it's a way to have interesting imaginations, thought experiments, and it'll give you interesting things to talk about as well with people. But really, it's just a pleasant activity. It's just a cool thing you can do and something you can add into your life, can add a lot of value, you know?
So, when do you recommend that we do that? Because I know, for instance, in manifestation, we say sometimes if you come out of prayer or meditation, some people say just as you wake up from sleep or just before you go to sleep, you sort of set an intention in your mind. So, this is a little different than that. Your intention is really just to remove all the boundaries or limits to your thinking and your imagination and be in reverie about something that's been on your mind, when would you recommend somebody in their day sort of take that on?
Just any time is fine. I mean, I don't think there has to be a specific strategy on this one as far as
Mhm,
like when to do it.
mhm,
Um, just whenever you feel like it. But it's cool if you start developing the inspiration to want to do it
mhm,
because it's
mhm,
enjoyable
mhm.
and it's just expansive. I mean, it's just sort of mind expanding without doing, drugs or psychedelics or without doing a
Yeah.
formal meditation. It's just kind of you
Mhm.
let yourself just kind of get into something like
Well,
imagine or just let it.
I'm gonna ask for your final thoughts in a minute, but your invitation for people to return to reverie, that there has value in it. And times are changing so much, it can feel like the ground is always moving under our feet right now. So you might just take a minute a few times a week and say, I'm just going to imagine what it would be like if, and be in reverie a little bit and see what that expansion does for you. It'll be good for your nervous system because you'll be calm. It will expand your kind of permission set about what you think is possible. Good things come from that. So share your final thoughts about our invitation to reverie.
Final thoughts. I think it just makes you deeper, um, and a more interesting person. to do these kinds of things. Um, so I think it's just really good. It's just really good overall. But see if you can find the hedonism of reverie, of being more philosophical. See if you can find how this is a very pleasant thing. I mean, look at someone like Socrates. It was so pleasant for him to think philosophically. He just had no interest in doing anything else his entire life. So I want you to think about that. Imagine that.
Some of
Like,
our great
what
inventors
was
engaged
he
in
feeling
Mhm.
when he was thinking about deep topics? He was so amazing and pleasant to him. He just stopped doing everything else. I want people to think about that and
Mhm.
think about having that kind of experience within yourself where this becomes such an amazing thing. It's just so cool. It's just so amazing.
Mhm.
It's just something you can tap into
Mhm.
whenever you want to do it. So,
Thank you so much. I guess my final thoughts are, there are people in history. I'm thinking of inventors. When the Wright brothers came up with their biplane, at the time, so many different inventors were working on manned flight, and they made heavy aircraft with the idea being you should survive the fall. Like if something goes wrong, it needs to be very strong and sturdy so when it hits the ground, you live through it. And the Wright brothers thought, we can't get it off the ground so heavy. It needs to be like a bird. We do need to be able to land it. And then they came up with feet, like bird feet, to land the plane. But it needs to be light like a bird, not heavy like protection from the fall. And that shift in thinking, what if it was light like a bird and we gave it little bird feet to land on? It changes, the whole concept. And you open the door to that kind of thinking when you practice reverie. I really loved this idea, Brian, that we can
mhm.
offer this invitation. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for watching At a Life Aligned. Don't forget to subscribe and follow for more insightful topics here on our channel. Thanks again, Brian.